Hello, hello. 1 second. Loading everything up. How's your week? This is a Seven of Diamonds week. Um, Seven of Diamonds in general. It's one of my favorite cards to look at and to study and to analyze because it has it is a unique card. It is one of the Mystic Seven. It is a semi-fits card. So if you don't know what a semi-fits card, let me move my screen. I'm gonna show you. Here we go. All right, so semi-fits card in the Seven of Diamonds, and what it is, it moves from Venus to Saturn. Trying to see if I have any banners of the Seven of Diamonds already. So from Venus to Saturn. Okay, so out of all the cards, the Seven of Hearts, you have the not Seven of Hearts, but you have the Seven of Diamonds, Ace of Clubs, Two of Hearts, King of Spades, Eight of Clubs, Nine of Hearts, and did I miss one? I said King of Spades, Jack of Hearts. Yeah, so those are your Mystic Seven. Let me put the birthdays of the Seven of Diamonds up. Oh, well, let me make sure I invited everyone too. 1 second. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Yeah. So yeah, they got the memo. I was like, where are they at? So those are your semi-fixed cards. So with this energy, or whenever you have a semi-fixed card, you have um, fixed principles. I believe you can say you can have someone with a fixed mind state. Um, uh, you have karma or repetitive actions or natures. Okay, and last week, what I left out of last week's show speaking about was a mentality around love and attachments and the things that we are attached to, right? Which I think is very important when you seven and nine of hearts is those things that we would say that we love, we enjoy, things that we place personal attachments to. And it was interesting that um, video love and what is love, right? And how do you define love? I think it's very important to look at love and be attached to those emotions, feelings, or the thought of. Because when it comes to love, there's two things I think working: your emotional self, physical self, I believe you say, and our mental. You know, we come from could be greed, it could be envy, it could be jealousy, right? And I look at that kind of like the Rahu and K2 elements. It's kind of funny, right? So Rahu and K2, is your north node, south node, and those two are always together but separate, right? Kind of like the nine of hearts and the seven of diamonds. They're always together, read together, but they're always separate on these. What's going on, G?
Hi, Rashad. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing
Good.
pretty. So, and I say that because even the seven of diamonds, you have to look at it as a place or card that can see a lot of troubles within their life, within their path and their upbringing and their growth, their spiritual growth. Because the K2 and the Rahu or the head and the snake element of the astrological essence is the spiritual and the mental. One of those elements, the south node, the north node, one has been here, one has seen these times, but one is meant to come back to do a mission outside of what they may have did in their past life, right? They came to live a more spiritual life, and I can see that, kind of with the Saturn aspect to live a more and every I think every card or every sign and every placement, every planet has a spiritual experience. So the experience of Saturn is to work, is to earn, is keep, um, maybe face hardships and troubles. Um, but to understand this is the physical purpose of this particular world, and I think I attach that for to your mission and as far as your purpose, things you're supposed to do, the things that we don't want to do sometimes, right? Are leading to our accomplishments. And also, why I say that, you also have to look at the diamonds. The diamonds all are in Saturn, but they all transform into spades, which are is just the spirit. So, and so you have to the way that you look at it is between the spiritual spread um, and the light spread.
Whoops.
So yeah, I was just talking about the seven of diamonds, and I see a lot of resemblance between the element and the Rahu element, and also the spiritual essence of the seven of between Venus and Saturn and this life purpose, and you know, and whenever you're looking at the North Node, South Node, it's like the head is the greed, is the the one that has that sees no limitations. Can lead up to disappointments when we get attached or we want things. I think even when love or within love, when you have attachment or you set expectations, sometimes you set yourself up to go through the emotional pitfalls of those attachments, right? um, so that's the same essence of love and the seven of diamonds. We always say the seven of diamonds, that's their path, is to come, experience, to gain, but to also let go, right? And when we fall in love, when we have these attachments, whether it's to people, there's two forms of love. I think there's this emotional attachment to what we want, and then there's the protection. Those the things without the things that you can't really see. Those spiritual essences, the attachments we have to our friends and family. You know, outside of the greed that we just want. You ready? You set up, G?
Yeah, sorry.
I'm trying to. I'm having issues myself. I'm trying to load my computer. Um, but I don't know if this thing has a virus or what. So I totally understand. I don't know. It has Aptio setup utility copyright 2012 American Mega Trends. Like what? Oh.
So yeah, no, the seven of diamonds, being that it sits, Venus naturally on the plate, it definitely can have a lot of attraction to it. You know what I mean? With that energy, a lot of attraction, a lot of sexuality, um, a lot of taking risks. I would say too, with that energy. Um, do you know? I know a few seven of diamonds people, and they're like Disney World maniacs.
Um, I don't know about Disney World, but I can see how someone can, like y'all said, you have attachments that you create, things
Yeah,
that you place value on, right? So that is a part of the attachments that we create and the things that we place personal value upon, right? Um, and I think that's you know, the life path of the seven of diamonds is placing value on things, but also having to learn, you know, balance within that same essence of what's healthy and what's a non-healthy attachment. you know,
yeah,
and like you said, it can lead to sex, that can lead to hoarding, that can lead to fetishes, collecting things, whatever that
yes,
you become a fanatic, right? And you know what's crazy? They actually had the Fanatics. You know, it's crazy. You say that they had the Fanatics event this week. I'm not mistaken. I believe that is a company started by the previous part owner of the Philadelphia 76ers. And then he started a new company called Fanatics. Actually, I think that's how it's said. Tactics. I don't know. I believe it's like that, but I think the basis of it is being a huge fan of sports, right? And I also see like sports, music. You know, those elements can also come out of the Venus or the Seven of Diamonds of love, attachment, the spiritual thing. Because what I think when you vibrate to a certain extent, you can there's spirituality in everything, right? So these attachments that we have, we see a part of ourselves, or there's a certain vibration, right? Or a certain love that we have. But yeah, the fanatics thing was this week. I thought that was really dope. But yeah, anything that you place attachment to, I think, can be that seven of diamonds. But Disney World, Disneyland, I can see that. I can see that. Being a kid, the things you place your love upon, the things that you place your emotions upon as you're growing up. Go ahead.
I chalk it up to the Jack of Hearts is their Venus card. But it's funny, me as a Jack of Hearts, I can't stand Disney World.
Probably it's scary. You probably see the true essence of it.
I do. You're right. It's creeped me out from the very beginning of time. I just never had a thing for it. And I grew up in South Florida, so Disney World was like a thing. I think I've been in my entire life 3 times. Once when I was like 5, the next time was until I was 18, and then the next time wasn't until like maybe 7 or 8 years ago. So, but I've noticed, I know a few Seven of Diamonds, and like when I talk about like Disney, I know someone who collects Disney memorabilia, like has a whole room dedicated to Disney memorabilia, like a whole like a million, probably worth has probably worth millions of dollars worth of Disney stuff that he's collected. Then I know another Seven of Diamonds, like it's her favorite place to go is Disney World. So it's just funny to me. And I really think that having the card of like the childhood, the childlike energy in Venus is a big part of that. And I'm not saying that every Seven of Diamonds, is a Mickey Mouse nutso, but the ones that I know, they are.
Having an attachment to something related to fun,
Yeah.
children, having to express yourself or express that sense of enjoyment or fulfillment. And you guys see that Seven of Diamonds also in the exit. What came about or what has been spoken about a lot this weekend has also been earthquakes, but the constant change and that happens in their childhood and the movement and travel, that can be music or there can be maybe a broken home, but there's a sense of change that happens at home, and also with the five of spades and the six of hearts through those changes, it also says it takes a little piece of childhood with them as take a little piece of home with them as well, right? So you take these things of memorabilia, memories, or anything what it may be, as a piece of comfort to you. So, like I said, what where you place your emotion to, what you place your attachment to, can also be a sense of comfort, or what brings you comfort. Brings you stability emotionally. The Seven of Diamonds is part of emotional extremes.
Mm-hmm.
Through those emotional extremes, I think you find things that bring you peace, that bring you a peace of mind, that bring you solace. And also, what can pop out of that for the Seven Diamonds, or just this week was, like I said, how you express yourself. What brings you peace. It may be working out, it may be your little piece of solitude, of isolation somewhere, what gives you a peace of mind, or creating. I think that they're very good at being creative. It could be also the sense of art and creativity and cartoons and those things that can make their minds explode possibly, you know. And it's funny you said that. I was just talking about Chuck E. Cheese this week. So that was a theme. But it's something around the Seven of Diamonds that kind of happened with me was this attachment that people have to Chuck E. Cheese. And I was like, I don't see Chuck E. Cheese as I didn't have that attachment as a kid. I don't know. I thought it was scary, like you. Like it, that wasn't the thing that brought me. That wasn't the thing that brought fulfillment, joy. That wasn't my emotional attachment. Was not Chuck E. Cheese. It was actually pretty scary for me to see this big old rat, but
Right.
just dancing on stage. I don't know. This little fluffy. It just give me EBT. It wasn't Sesame Street.
Right. They really did try to like traumatize us with all their whoa.
I know. Right? You just put across my.
I said they now that you think back, right? We had Big Bird, we had the big rat, Chuck E. Cheese, Barney, the big purple dinosaur. I mean, like all these like big, crazy looking animal characters that you would some people, little kids would be scared of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just funny to me. Um, Things that we had in our childhood, and it's true too, because like you were spot on, because like my friend who's the Seven of Diamonds, she collects the Nutcracker dolls because she was a ballerina and she danced in the Nutcracker, and so that's been a thing for her, is to have these Nutcracker dolls. You can always easily buy her a gift, just get her a Nutcracker doll.
And it's Venus, Venus. That's if you look at astrologically, that's the placement of Taurus, right? So those are things, Earth, things that we create. You know, a sense of creativity. There's also the spiritual essence of it. I think people think that spiritual people are just collect rocks, but I think it's being in tune with nature, right? It's being in tune with those things that um, it's just hard to explain it. Thinking from a king of spades, I think I want people to follow me, right? Thinking from a king of spades point of all knowing, all seeing, to understand mineral composition, to understand everything, right? Or the working usefulness of everything. You start to create value around things based upon a use case, right? So once you create value, Seven of Diamonds, and Taurus, once you create these values around these particular things, then that comes when people don't understand, they see it as a spiritual nature. Or when you have a spiritual nature or spiritual attachment, you become devoted to something. So that devotion out of something, devotion to the planet, to Earth, to Mother Nature around you, you become, this yogi, or you become this devoted person, or this medicine person, or this medicine man. So even within the Seven of Diamonds, or this great devotion you have, the or this understanding of how things work around you, and this created value, you look like a hippie, right? But I think that's with the Seven of Diamonds and the Nine of Hearts, and true Venus, and the intellect of Taurus, and the value is created by understanding the essence and the true use case of things, right? So for that particular card, or just the Taurus and those cards, is where do you create value? Who do you value? What is the use case? What is someone's true value? And also, this all-knowing essence that I'm speaking about is also the Seven of Diamonds, Nine of Hearts. Of I also see coming back into this life in some type of way as well. Like, this is a pattern that they have. This is something they came to experience and to create value around. and
Hmm.
and to create value around people, places, things, wherever it may be, whatever your niche is. I think the Seven of Diamonds, and just diamonds in focus, they have this extreme focus on something, of creating value around something, understanding what the purpose or use case of it is, right? So, is a use case, right? Depending on the person. But as far as the spread, Someone said, as far as the spread, what questions do you have? So this is speaking towards the spread. So if you look at it, 7 of diamonds and 9 of hearts, right? I'm speaking towards Saturn and Venus, right? Venus is the joy, the attachments, friends, family, those things of value. Your values are created within that Venus line, whether it be friends, family, the things of material value, things that may hold emotional weight. Saturn is the physical experience, the hardships that we face going through those experiences, right? So the 7 of diamonds, it's one of those cards that go back and forth, and sometimes they say have the hardest. One of the hardest life paths, as far as I see. I can't say anyone else says that, but maybe as far as I see.
I think scroll up. There's another question. Um, discussing the relationship with the Queen of Hearts and the 7 of Diamonds, because the Queen of Hearts transforms into the 7 of Diamonds.
Yeah, yeah. That love, unconditional love.
Well,
um,
look at, I mean, they go from Neptune, right, to Venus. And Neptune is just the higher octave of Venus. So, that's a lot of relationship energy, really. You can see
mhm.
that. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I was looking at this actually yesterday in my transformation card webinar, and certain cards that go just from like like there was, beside, I know me, I go from Venus Jupiter to Jupiter Venus. Interesting to look at the Queen of Hearts going from Neptune to Venus. And then I think it was the Queen of Clubs. They where they sit, what, Mercury Mars, and then they transform into the King of Hearts, which is Mars Mercury. So
You said
it's just a
the
flip,
queen.
you know what I mean? Huh?
Oh, you said the Queen of Clubs is Mercury, Mars, and then they flip Mars, Mercury.
Yeah, because it's transformed to the Queen of Hearts. So it's just because that's what my webinar yesterday was our transformation card. And so her question being that the Queen, Queen of Hearts transforming into the 7 of Diamonds, one of the first things that I just recognized is that it goes from that Neptune to Venus.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of gives another layer texture to that Queen of Hearts because of that, very, I mean, it's love and more love and then money. But
And
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think what happens with money and or those things that bring us instant gratification, because I think the money is used to create value, right? So money is used to create value upon what's important to you, what's important to others, food, health, and all the things that bring us nourishment. So that the true proper use of money is to bring fulfillment and nourishment. And the 7 of diamonds has what the 9 of hearts, fulfillment, right? The queen of forms to the 7 of diamonds. So their lesson is to understand what true values are, right? Queen of Hearts can be emotionally attached to people, places, down there, Neptune, transforming into the 7 of diamonds is constantly learning where to place true value at, you know,
That,
where.
and I also would say with the 7 of Diamonds, whether you are that card, you transform into that card, you have that card wherever, whenever, it really is about being spiritually wealthy. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? To be materially wealthy, you kind of have to have that spiritual wealth too. And I think um that's key for that energy. And I liked what I reposted the post you made about the gentleman talking about, it's one thing to be broke or poor, the difference between broke and poor, the poor mindset. It was so right on for the 7 of Diamonds energy. And that even goes for the Queen of Hearts, like, because they transform into that card. It is an internal frequency, right? And it's just like, again, if you constantly say I can't afford this or I don't got it, or then you're operating from that space of lack. You're focusing on what you don't have, and
Mhm.
you don't believe you're rich. And I don't mean financially, right? That's a whole separate thing. Like, but being rich from within, and I think that's key for that. And even the seven of diamonds to the nine of hearts, you know, the going back and forth, because as quickly as you can get the riches, we know that that nine of hearts, you can let it go. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it can leave you. So it's teaching you to one, all, no matter what state that you're in, or what cycle you're in, whether it's a cycle of something going out or something coming in, you still remain rich, right? You stay consistent within. You stay, you know, abundant from the inside out, because we all experience cycles of either being up or cycles of being down. But what shouldn't waver is your faith and your belief and your trust, and knowing that even if you are on a cycle of something going out, you're still rich. You're still wealthy. You're still abundant. You're still provided for. You're still blessed. But see,
Mm-hmm.
we focus so much on what we do or don't have, and I think we miss the whole essence of being, you know, these soul beings, and that we come here with, we have everything we need within us. So, you know, and that goes for, again, anybody who has that card, transforms into that card, has it for their year. It's important to, you know, and with all the sevens, you know, that internal reflection, and usually when you have like these sevens in your spread, that the outside, like, it's like when you really can see that your outside is just a reflection of your inside, and if you don't like it, you have the opportunity to change it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's something that I had to learn when I was speaking with Will. That's one of the things going from Venus and Saturn. It's the work, you know, those things that you have to become disciplined at to earn those physical traits. You have to create those things, you know, and something that your culture will never be destroyed is your personal value that you have within inside yourself. Working those things that create value within you is the habits that you create around yourself, you know, on a daily basis, the thought patterns that you have about yourself. Those are the things that value. And how you create physical value and output for yourself, right? It's the actual work that and the things that you digest, you know, things that come into you, then the things that you spit out right after that, whether it be verbally or physically, you know, food that you may eat too, right? No seven diamonds love to eat. Love. But it's you know it's a universal thought process, right? It's food physically and also mentally. The words that you put inside yourself, and what comes out. What does that create? You know, what do you have to show forth? What is being created? You know, what is the structure that you're creating mentally, physically, or you know, or the art that you created? And then after that, how do you still value it? Like you said, when no one else is giving you attention, no one else is giving you praise. You know, we may not have the physical money. You know, when no one else is looking at whatever you create, you think it's awesome, awesome, right? No one else is giving you compliments around your face, your physical appearance, right? You know, the true value is actually with well. Uh, you don't value what you have, you don't value what you create, if you don't value yourself, then you can, you know, you can deem yourself as worth. So if the seven of diamonds has, you know, issues, some confidence about who they are, they'll create.
Rashad, you're cutting in and out. Just so
Uh,
you know, you're kind of cutting up. Just an FYI.
maybe I'm a
That's better, I think.
yeah. I have my headphones on. It also could be I don't have noise cancellation when I'm speaking through this. Uh, Getting feedback. I did Amazon. Usually I do Amazon every day, right? They're on there every day. And I got back just 30 minutes before we got on, and my computer isn't working, man. And it's like I don't know. It's like funny because it's memory. I don't know. But I have to get it checked out. But anyways, can you hear me better? Is
Yeah,
that
that's
better?
better. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was saying around Saturn, Venus, it's the things that you create physically, mentally, and emotionally around you, and it can affect your output. The confidence. Saturn and Capricorn sometimes are some of the most insecure people I think, and I see sometimes. I don't think that they value themselves or that fight for the top is also for recognition. So if you're not getting recognized, so you're not getting pandered in a certain type of way, you may not show up the same in certain case. But I can also see that with the seven of diamonds and the nine of hearts, right? So there are some nine of hearts that have that nine of hearts side. I think teach you to give unconditional love, but their life path can be some of the hardest. Also, it can be some of the most poverty stricken as well. So there is a poverty versus wealth mentality, like you said, and if you don't have that wealth, I'm wealthy. You can go into the poverty side, and that's insecurity, not knowing what you really have, like you said, not knowing your true value.
Well, and I think too, because what is that? Neptune, Uranus, Saturn. So they're the nine of hearts, but they also have the nine of diamonds in Saturn, and then the seven of diamonds, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. Oh, they have the two of hearts, in Saturn. So, anyways, I think for those that nine of hearts and having the nine of diamonds in Saturn, they're really here to learn to not be attached. You know what I mean? Like is that and probably more importantly, having boundaries. I think the reason that they can, it can be difficult for them is because they have a hard time saying no. You know what I mean? They don't know how to like really implement those boundaries, and they have to be careful of the attachments and the expectations and the disappointments. And with that nine of diamonds being in Saturn, it's trusting in the cycle. It's always really too like when you are having to let go of something, it is to mature you. There's lessons in that. It wants you to be free. And so to be free and to give love freely like that, it has to come from a place of no expectations, no conditions, no without those strings and attachments. So they really have to let go, um, or give it from the without
Expectations.
yes, without wanting to have anything back in return. It was when you start to give with the expectations of getting something, that's when the disappointment and the hurt,
What was
loss
me?
can really kick your butt.
hmm I kind of also look at this kind of close to the Ashleisha as far as the Vedic and the Maka. I think that's how you said it in the Vedic as well. But playing Woe Is Me, I think is the Maka Pada or Nashashka. And I think that it actually, I was trying to see the correlation between, the Vedic and the cards, but the days are a little off. It's 28, 52 cards. So it doesn't line up exactly right. But for this week, it actually started kind of like within the same sequence. But sympathy or seeking pity, playing woe was me, or being a victim is a huge issue, with the seven of diamonds, sevens in general, nine of hearts, and if you go through life playing victim or having that woe was me type of mentality, nine times out of 10 is you're not being optimistic. You're not looking at the nine should always look to the 10 or looking, being optimistic in some type of way or seeing the silver lining that can possibly happen, you know, and giving from a place of not having expectation. It's like I've won a lottery ticket, said it all the time. I won a lottery ticket and then I gave $100 out, right? But if you just crying and you don't even If you're just crying, you never played the lottery, or you don't never take a chance, never see the silver lining of the next opportunity, then all is lost, you know. And then also, the blessing is missed for the next person. I also look at it. Aquarius said this one thing that always made me think about people's purpose in life and the lines and giving back. Right? You could be the blessing that somebody else needs, but you don't even have the confidence to be a leader, right? Or to do the work that is supposed to happen. There's like a ecosystem or a chain. I believe someone always gets replaced, right? But in order to give that back, you must attain, right? In order to attain, you must have to put forth effort. You know, you can't really complain. You got to look towards the future, and put in the work. So I kind of look at it kind of like Seven of Diamonds and Nine of Hearts. They can be great people, they can be philanthropists, but when they're not, you know, they're always stuck in the negative side and wanting people to help, wanting people to come to their aid, and those things, being negative Nancy's also in Nine of Diamonds as well, right? Instead of being that helpful person or being that aid to people, right? So it's like you're actually supposed to be the person that's helping everybody.
But at the same time, I think the victim mentality comes from them not knowing when to say no, them not, you know, having the boundaries that they need to have, because now people do what you allow them to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're mad because, but you and this is literally me speaking about my own life too, because I've had this situation where I'm like, huh, and you want to blame the other person, but then when you really like sit with it, well, shoot, I could have
Mm-hmm.
stopped, I could have said no, I could have been like, I'm not talking to you no more, whatever the case may be, right? And so I think that's why those sevens and nines, travel together, because when you start to like really look at yourself, you start letting go of like blaming others, blaming the situation, making yourself a victim, when you have to really like say, where was my role in this?
Mm-hmm.
Where did I not say no? Where did I not cut something off that damn well wasn't good for you? And now you're all like, woe is me, playing the victim, when you essentially allowed it to happen. you know and when you're talking about like well, not just personal, like relationships or anybody just trying to take advantage of you. And so that, I think that's one thing I've noticed. And then like you said, with the Seven of Diamonds and that nine energy, like they do have to be careful, because if they get caught in that space, it's hard, I feel like, to dig themselves out, because it becomes such a, it's like they're in a negative tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is wrong, they can't find anything good, they're finding, and then they'll over like really obsess about everything that can go wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then they can get stuck there. So they have to be very mindful of that. And I think sometimes it's hard because they don't, having faith without seeing the results or seeing it in action, is just like having to keep the faith even when you're not sure what the outcome is going to be. And I think
Blind
they
faith.
sometimes it's hard for them.
Yeah, blind faith and blind love. That's something that someone, that was that in that video I was looking at. I have to go back and look at it again. But blind faith for the seven downs. That's what I was saying earlier. Working and you want something, you desire something, but you have to put in the hours. You have to put in the dedication. Something that stood out for me this week. Someone was saying that Usain Bolt worked all his life to show us or give us less than 1 minute's worth of actions and results. His whole life's work only resulted in less than a minute, or less than, not even, I wouldn't say a minute. How fast is the, yeah, it is. Because it's like 9 seconds, right? Yeah, like 9, 10, 9 to 8 is like the 100 meter. Dang. So we've probably seen only like 50 seconds of this man's work on TV. Literally, a lot of us, if you're not an avid watcher of sports, right? So the average person has probably only seen this man run 3 or 4 times, and but he worked his whole life to do that. That's like the seven of diamonds, right? You know, you worked your whole life, you did this, you came back to Earth to experience the fruits of your labor, but also to experience and to get the manual labor, right, and to actually put in the hard work, the dedication. You know, no one is. I'm not the prettiest person, right? It took a lifetime for me to look this good. Unfortunately, I didn't look like this good overnight. You know, it took a lifetime. It took me to take care of myself. It took me maintenance, right? It takes work to within this physical earth. Nothing is given without the proper application work. That's why I said of things of material value, right? And if you don't know what a toothbrush is, if you don't actually put in the physical labor and work of this earth to figure it out, then the result is nothing, right? So I think that's also a seven. They have the six of hearts where they have the six of hearts and Pluto. So the six of hearts is one of those cards also where it goes by time and watches other people kind of succeed. It watches other people gain success in life, and you know it can kind of have this woe is me as far as career or life path and those things. But it actually gets a lot of rewards later in life, you know. So they may get all of what they deserve or the recognition they deserve, but may not get some recognition off, but usually they get it later on in life. So another one of those cards that have to work with patience. Anytime you have a six, and seven of diamonds have that six of hearts and Pluto, you know. That can also make them to say, I gave you this, so I deserve this, right? Eye for
Mhm.
eye type of thing with that. Finally, my laptop is on. I almost got sad. I ain't gonna lie. I thought this thing was broke. I almost thought it was broke. I thought it was broke.
Yeah, that six of hearts and Pluto um, is real interesting with the seven of diamonds because again, they want things, fair. That's the peacemaker card, but it's interesting too because it sits Mars, but it's their Pluto card. So I think this is a big part of why they can go ham.
No, yeah, they could definitely. The emotion swings is crazy.
Yes.
It is one of those cards. Also, say like we said, the drugs and the liquor. It is a card of what they say, liquor and song, wine
Mm-hmm.
and song.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely the wine and song type of card. Alcohol. The Queen of Clubs has it in what? In Neptune? No, it doesn't. It has a
Uranus.
Uranus.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that they're a wine and song type of people too. but but yeah, they have passion. And like I said, if you're not putting that energy somewhere, you're not putting that love, those attachment, all of that, those emotions, like I said, I kind of look at it like as Laisha, like they say the snake, feels the vibes of the ground when it moves, so it can feel the difference in the frequency, right? So I think that also comes when you have creators, so you have people, they can feel the difference of how you treat me. I can feel the difference of this cloth, right? So that can make me have a high sense of fine tune of senses, right? So they can have, I think, a heightened sense of emotions, or their senses can be very heightened. So that can be love, their attachments, and or their addictions to drugs or alcohol or anything, right? So when you have a fine taste or your senses are fine tuned, that can make you susceptible to addictions, to passions, to temperaments. So that nine of hearts, that's why I also say they have to work out. They have to find some type of physical outlet.
Yeah.
Working out. I have a seven of diamonds is actually on this YouTube. One of the first YouTubes I was doing when I got to LA. I want to get back into it, but I actually want to make sure because she was doing it and just giving, right? Which I love people giving. I'm one of those people where I have to receive and be open to receiving, but then we got interrupted because I had a medical emergency. But we was doing high intense yoga. Oh my gosh. That was she had this one session, the fire breathing yoga session. I almost died. Yeah, I almost like collapsed right here on camera. It was intense, but that is like the seven of diamonds, nine of hearts. It is an intense energy. That's why they can. You have to be careful with sweets and those things that can be addictive. You know.
Well, yeah, Rashad, look, so their Venus card is a heart, the Jack of Hearts, and on top of it, the fixed heart card. Their Pluto card is a heart, the six of hearts, so just those two, stubborn as hell. And then add the fact that their cosmic moon is a Jack of Spades. So Venus is a one-eyed Jack. Their moon is a one-eyed Jack, so they can be blindsided, turn a blind eye. But then also, both of those cards deal with escapism, and taking things to kind of get out of the reality and live in the clouds and not feel numb themselves, right? So
Mm-hmm.
everything you're speaking on, alcohol or whatever substances they decide to use is very much a part of that with that Jack of Hearts, the Jack of Spades. But then I look when people have like hearts in like Mars, or with the case of the Seven of Diamonds, the hearts in Venus, the heart in Pluto. So they're very, that passion and that intensity is, intense.
Yeah, especially having that in Pluto, like you said, it can, be overwhelming. Like she said, someone said it can be true. I can see when someone be fake and pretend like it. I mean, when someone's energy towards me has changed, right? It's because you're looking for that, like I would do that for you type of thing. Why would you treat me like that? With the Six of Hearts. And also being a judge of character, I think also that can go both ways though, right? Because you have a seven, they can be gamblers. That's also why I mentioned the Rahu K2 element in the snake, because it can lead into when someone doesn't trust anyone, when you always feel like people are fake around you. What do someone do that is susceptible and to their environment? They're going to turn into those things as well, become the they may become thieves, they may steal, they may become storytellers themselves, or live a facade in a sense, right? um, that can happen with the Jack of Spades in the moon position, where they may not want to tell all their emotions or be secretive, be standoffish, you know, be to
May have
themselves
fetishes and
for sure.
fetishes, deep, intimate secrets for
Yeah.
sure. Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, for sure. That's why I was saying earlier, the sexual, those experiences,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, can definitely gravitate for them. They can be the player from the Himalayas. They got the seven of hearts right behind them, pushing them. So the lover boy aspect to Jack of Hearts and Venus, so it can be definitely smooth talkers, right? The magnetism, they can be very magnetic, like you say, attractive. So they can use their attractiveness, to their advantage sometimes if they would want to. But, like I said, the Jack of Spades, that can lead to someone being very shy, reserved, or sneaky in some type of way. So they may use it, they may have it, but they may not use it to their advantage. Just depends on who they are, right? And how
You
they
may
use
also
their
find
attraction.
them attracted to much younger energy.
With you say that because of Jack of Hearts or Jack of Spades or both?
Both, because both of
Mhm.
them in the position that they're in, one being in Venus and one being in the cosmic moon, there's that childlike essence. You find them, they may date, even like the women may date younger men, the men may date younger
Oh
women.
yeah, that's what I meant to talk about too. Um, yeah, so there's definitely an aspect of the men being also attracted or having women that's maybe more powerful outside of just them being younger. There can be a superiority complex that happens within the relationship between the seven of diamonds and nine of hearts. Either someone more powerful or maybe someone younger, but that can draw or make them feel some type of way if they're more powerful for as the men, because it's the seven of diamonds, poverty versus wealth mentality. So they may be intimidated for a woman to be more powerful than them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you see them typically because they have a young nature. You know, they're like kids at heart. They have the Jack of Hearts as their Venus card, so they want
Mhm.
someone who may be
No, thank you.
younger, play more playful, um, have that more innocent
Mhm.
essence to them.
And
And
thank you
you
for.
can see that they definitely be risk takers and can be very
Mhm.
hot headed when because of the nine of clubs being in Mars. Got to watch for the temper. You can definitely see that with that seven of diamonds. But again, having that nine in Mars, and being connected to the nine of hearts and the nine of spades and Jupiter, knowing that letting go is a blessing. You know what I mean? Like it really is better things coming, um, with that, because usually the nines in Jupiter represent wishes fulfilled, right? And
Mhm.
usually the ending isn't really a loss; it's a blessing. So being able to kind of look at it like that, being able to let go, being able to not be attached.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, because nines, of course, transfer into the nine of hearts, ten of diamonds, right? So there's like I was saying earlier, something on the other side, but also they can make them go into gambling habits, needing instant gratification, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they do actually have to watch out for gambling as far as the men a lot of times.
Addictions. There's a lot of addictions, I think, in that. There's a lot of potential for addictions, and that addictions look, I mean, that can go for anything: gambling, food, drugs, sex, shopping, chocolate, whatever it is, you know um spending. There's a lot of compulsive energy, I feel, and addictions with that card specifically.
Someone said gambling, yes. Have hard not time with not getting attached. Are you talking about love and relationships? Because the other attachments can be supplemental for where you're not maybe getting attachments within relationships. So you can supplement those things. For relationships, it is a lesson for them to not get it too attached within relationships, and that can be a sense of protection. Some people can do that to protect themselves. But also your life path, I think, is to understand the value within relationships and not to get attached too much, but to give unconditionally, right? To understand what love truly is, and to really give in a sense of a unconditional type of love, unattached type of love. We always talk about the seven of hearts being the unconditional lover, but really I think it's the seven of diamonds, right? With the agape aspects of the nine of hearts is to
Yeah.
give all and love all. I think the seven of hearts, the reason it says unconditional love is because they actually have more conditions than they do have
Yeah.
than they come with. So they have to learn to be unconditional. They have to learn to be unattached. Because a lot of times their love comes with attachments. It comes with standards and those things, which is nothing wrong with that. I think standards. That's why we live this human life. There's a fine and thin line for everything, right? So there's a thin line and fine line between unattached and being attached and having a healthy relationship. You know, um, being unattached is me cooking you dinner, but you saying I already ate and me not getting mad. I unconditionally love that you went out, fed yourself, and but someone overly attached would be heated. It would be, they would be
I
upset.
did this for you and you ate knowing that I was gonna cook when you should. If you really truly love that, oh, I'm happy you ate. Cool. I'll wrap this up, put it in the fridge. You can take it for lunch tomorrow, babe. Whatever, you know what I mean. But yeah, yeah.
And like we said, they also have the aspects of the player from the Himalayas. I ain't gonna call you that, but but yeah. Somebody says, Mike, you may be right. I don't
He
know.
ain't wrong. He's not.
You're not wrong,
He's
Mike.
not wrong with that. it's a very interesting energy.
The
I've done a
pleasure
lot of
aspect.
diving into this card. I see a lot of correlations with people that, with this card, this energy. It definitely has a insatiable desire. It's just, where does it put it? You know what I mean?
Right.
You
Tonight's
know,
gonna be a good night.
yeah,
What a feeling.
yeah.
Yeah, one of them type vibes. Yeah. So, like I said, the attachment, it can be emotionally. That's why I was saying, what is love? What is the aspects of love? Is it an action or is it an emotion? What is the definition? I think the Seven of Diamonds, Nine of Hearts is one of those good cards that to understand and to look at the seesaw between the Nine of Hearts and Seven of Diamonds. You can see where love has conditions almost in the way, or it has boundaries, or there's lines. It's hard to define. Like, how do you define it in a sense? Do you find it with the actions that someone takes, the impulses, the things, or the environment that they want to create a loving environment, or the emotional attachments that we create to people, places, things, outside of what we do to please ourselves. I always look at also the spiritual aspects. You know, to really understand what I'm speaking about, you have to go into the Vedic understanding of the the North Node and the South Node. I love their explanation of the head of the snake and the body. Right, one is here to understand the spiritual aspects, and the head is to understand the pleasures. Right, so I think that is the seesaw between the Seven of Diamonds and Nine of Hearts, and the seesaw they have within their life. It can be seemingly bipolar. That's why it's so hard to for us to explain. It can be a bipolar type of energy, right? That can be very moody, right? That's why we're saying it can be a one that goes in and out of moods as well.
I think that's sometimes the case with all the sevens. You get that swing, and that's why you'll find too, like this. Look where the fours show up for the sevens, right? And when on the plates, the sevens and the fours tend to be like, Pluto, the sevens in Pluto, and the fours in Saturn. In the spread for someone, and so to me, it's like, okay, it's going to be more work and more challenging for you to stay in the now, to stop the swing, to kind of ground yourself, to be present, to be, focused, or you're going to tip, right? And so you'll find that when someone is either like maybe displacing a seven, or like I said, they have the seven in Pluto, you'll find that like the Saturn or the four is usually in a spot where they have to work hard to kind of ground, to kind of bring them their, to bring that peace, to bring that stability, to bring that sturdiness, that solidness, and so it shows that the more that they can ground, and the more that they can root, and the more that they can stay present and keep them from tipping, because again, there's like no gray with that. So getting to the gray, and I always say getting to the four is how I kind of describe it when I do readings, when people have the sevens in those places, and you see it. It's just, you can't deny that they do have to kind of work a little bit harder to be able to kind of keep that balance, keep that sense of stability. But when they do it, that's when they're magic. That's when they are the cards of law of attraction. That's when they can literally manifest anything, because they're not tipping on, the fear, the lack, the doubt, and the
Mm-hmm.
worry. When they're in that moment, in the now, this is when they can really, they're fucking oh, sorry, whatever we're on, magical. um to because it's true, because then now they're in the space of one, usually, in the moment, the gratitude, appreciation, they're calmer, and that's when I feel like that's when their magic really kicks in, when they're able to speak things into existence, bring things to them, when they really master that four energy.
And understanding what's for you. I think when you searching and you what people call adrenaline junkies, you tend to attract certain things that The nine is the card or the number for good or evil. I think nine, jack, those type of things can be used for like good or evil. Eight. So
Yeah.
it's like based upon what you attract is what you get, right? So when you use that energy, that power to manifest, and that love, and all of those things for, the things that are really for you, you can create, like you said, a place of bliss, peace, for yourself and others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a card of manifestation for you, for sure. And like I said, also not just out of manifestation. The Saturn, I think it comes from karma. I think also one reason I'm just keep on trying to get you to correlate to the Rahu K2 aspect is because it's like the K2, you came back into his life to complete something. Like Nans is a card of completion, right? So you came back into his life to complete something, but you didn't start all the way from the beginning. I got that from KRS Astrology and that explanation. Like you didn't start all the way from the beginning. You came at like level 7, right? So you came right in the middle and able to, start with that same momentum to complete what it is that you put on this earth to do. And again, between the 7 of diamonds and 9 of hearts, they will say that hard life is full of trial and hardship, but on the other end, they can receive it's the millionaire card. So it's a card of unlocking great rewards, you know. So it actually has the sky is the limit type of energy once it actually reaches its fulfillment and reaches its true potential. Like I said, Capricorn knows energy. You want to reach for the top, right? Leadership positions and those things that can be put in places of management and using that attractive energy to help and to give to people. Being not necessarily going to philanthropy, which is the 9 of diamond Saturn for the 9 of hearts, right? Which it grows into, but giving back into some type of way, whether it's kids, children, having that love and that spirit and the money, the wealth, once you focus that energy into those areas, you stand to really see the fulfillment and not really worry about what someone's giving to you, right? But you become the peacemaker. You're able to go into situations and have a tranquil type of attitude, peace of mind, and create peace for everyone else.
Yep. I have to jump off because I got to get the little one to bed at school nights now, so I can't be
Mhm.
on here too long. But I wanted to before it. I know we're coming into the 8 of Diamonds week, and if you look at the plate, I think it's 76 is the week that we're on, and the King of Hearts is in the Sun, and the Ace of Spades is in Jupiter. And so I just found that to be really interesting with everything that we have going on with this full moon, and just we were talking about it in the room on Clubhouse earlier, just all the different things that are possibly going to be coming up, with this week. It's going to be an interesting week with this 8 of Diamonds. So I'm excited to kind of talk about that next Sunday after we've been through the week
I
and
just
see
kind
how
of,
this plays
I'm
out.
gonna go listen. I missed it. I'm gonna go listen. I'm excited.
I don't think he had the
Recording
the
Clubhouse.
replays on. Yeah.
That's why I don't like Clubhouse. They made a lot of updates. I do apply Clubhouse for opening up the hallways to see new people, to gain new audiences. So I may be back on there, because I feel like it was very stagnant, and it wasn't allowing you to grow. So I
But
think
whatever
they
they've done,
they're
it's
making some
such
changes.
I still don't like understand it. What Nick was explaining to me today, that you can't just you can't open up a room unless you have a house or something, and um
Ooh.
I don't know, it's really weird. I still, because I keep getting, like, when you're in a room, you get all these like notifications that somebody I don't even know started a room, and I don't, it's just really weird. um
Yeah.
I'm still trying to make it make sense, but it
Yeah,
was
I
an
kind of gave
interesting.
up, and I like puzzles.
Yeah.
I'm about a puzzle. I'm a girl who doesn't like to give up, but I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on, and
Right,
every
it
time
was really
I feel
weird.
dumb, and I don't really want to keep trying.
Right.
So yeah, so maybe it's simplified, but I'm glad you were there. I didn't know it wasn't recorded, but I am gonna listen to us whatever you guys chatted about too. So thanks for doing this show. I kept thinking it was 7:30 because last week that's what it was. I was so confused. So I don't know why my brain's playing with me. So we're gonna do it at 6:30 my time, 8:30 your time, and 5:30 your time. Is that the way now?
That's
Mm-hmm.
what we've been doing.
Yeah. Hmm. Oh yeah, you was on vacation, so I understand.
I'm in it. I'm in it. But yeah, we had fun. We went to my friend made this with ice and tie dyed it with ice. How crazy is that? She
Oh,
put
that's
Oh,
like
pretty
dope.
though.
sinew on it where the ice, where the
That's
white is.
super cool.
Look at
Yeah,
that,
I like it.
Mm. That is very
right?
dope. I like
My
that.
friend just made it at the party we were at. She's been making these, and so she's selling them. It's $30. She's gonna be going to a festival, that Zion Reiki one, and she made this great hat. Where's the hat? It's corny, but I loved it too.
No, that's dope.
No,
And
the
it's
colors
thin.
was cool. I love the.
Aren't
Yeah,
that
I like the
great?
colors.
Yeah,
So
I could
this,
cut you guys a couple of hats. I still want to mail you giraffes, hats and giraffes coming then. They're great, right? Proud of her.
if there's this color wave, I think the Gopi love. That's why I say the Nine of Hearts, right? Unconditional love. But I keep on seeing tie dye. I think that is something that needs to come into. I'm just a tourist here in California, so but there's a lot of gang violence and interpretation of colors. But as
Yeah.
far as unity, that they're trying to promote, I would love to what I want to do is donate some t-shirts and white shirts for them to tie dye in the sense of unity and peace.
Yeah. Well, look at
So
all the
yeah.
colors in there that come out. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, we're all the colors of the rainbow. They're meant to work together. They're not in any kind of contest. Like, come on. And I can't wait to hear what you talked about if love's an action or not, because I thought about that a lot during the week. And I really was noticing the way I was showing love. And I would say it is an action, but it's also a feeling
Hmm.
that makes you want to act.
Right. One is a result of the other. Yeah.
Like a generous, kind of open hearted feeling. And then it makes you want to give love or show love.
Mm.
So that's what I gave to after all my analyzing.
No, no, I definitely. I'm trying to think back to what we were speaking about, and that was in representation of that. But as far as the feelings and the emotions,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about having unconditional love. As far as a replay, rewind, as far as the conversation, your actions, as far as love being unconditional. You know, treating people fairly. You know, being in tune with your emotions, right? And the vibrations of what's around you, and being critical of that sometimes as well. I think that can cause you to act or react, you know, we'll say violently, for some people, or or maybe go off into escapism, into drugs, or into other things, right? Based
Mm-hmm.
upon the feelings and the emotions that you may have. So, yeah, your emotions and your feelings cause you to react a certain way, and they create a certain environment around you, and you know they can create a reputation for yourself as well, right? Depending on who you are. But seven of diamonds and stuff can be quiet, hidden people. They have the jack of spades. They can be the people of many masks, very creative, organized, depending on who they are, and as far as their train of thought. So, but yeah, it's definitely a energy where to understand who you are, your value, the value of your feelings, the feelings of other people, you know, to try to define that. I think that's a world that they kind of live in, to live in that world, right?
Mm-hmm. Had a metaphor from the garden today. So the garden, we kind of let it go. We kept watering it, but it really needed some weeding, like seriously. And it was a rather overcast day, so we were outside weeding. And there's these really cool, like little white flowers in this creeping vine. I was like, oh, they're so nice. Then I started to weed them, and as much as they looked so lighthearted and pretty, they were weaving themselves around the tomato plants and the things, and hosting themselves on so many other stuff that they were killing the tomato plants and the tomatillas and the peppers, right? So like needing for boundaries. It's like we welcome these pretty white flowers, but you cannot take the plant's life. Like you have to be on the edge over there. You grow as pretty as you want, but you don't come in here and wrap yourself around the tomato plant so you pull it down and it can't grow tomatoes. Do you know? So I think that's a great garden metaphor for the. That's what I was talking about in the garden today. It's like, look at these things. They're so pretty. I want to just let them be, but they're sticky and they're on top of you and they're holding back life force sometimes. So saying like, actually, I don't mind hanging out with you, but could you just go over there a little bit? Like that's like, can we just like see each other with a little bit more space? Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's just one example of boundaries. We all have to create boundaries in our own different type of ways. Some people are, you can be over mothering, over loving. You have to create boundaries with drugs, alcohol, or whatever it may be, right? And know that there is a certain point where you can exhaust something, whatever it may be, or being exhausting to other people. But yeah, I'm a projector, so I'm one of those people that have to be invited because I can be extra, I can be a little bit excited. So I've learned to draw back, myself a lot and reserve myself. I think that just coming growing up, I can be very isolated. Kind of said last week, I'm an only child, right? So but I have very passionate emotions. So I've learned to kind of draw it back and to understand and how to kind of use those emotions. But when I get into relationships, that's when I let go and I can be overly emotional within my relationship because I'm holding back my emotions everywhere else in life, right? So when I get into a relationship, now I'm like overly bearing within the relationship, or I can be fearful, or though, like you said, where those emotions. I was watching that video earlier. You were saying the emotions can turn into anxiety and can turn into fear, right?
Mhm.
But when you're over loving or
Well, it's
too
all
emotional.
about being authentic with your emotion, right? Because part of what makes it get like swelling and uncomfortable is hiding it, right? So,
Hmm.
in this equine therapy, that's a component of the place that I work at. One of the things that they say, and I'm learning firsthand more and more, is oh, wait a minute. So, the horse responds to your authentic expression. So, if you come out to the horse and act like nothing's bothering you and you're just fine, you try to do it, the horse is like, what's going on with you? Like, well, I'm not working with you, right? But if you're authentic with where you're at and kind of like sitting in it and moving through it, the horse is right there to work with you. I was like, oh, that's fascinating. So they're just hypersensitive to the emotional content of the people near them. So if you're standing strong and clear and also admitting a little bit of fear but trying to hold you centered, they're going to work with you. But if you're like, oh yeah, and just acting like whatever, they're going to be like, who the heck are you? So I
Hmm.
think that's such an interesting thing to think that we'll have a certain ease in relating when people are just authentic with what they're feeling and not hiding it because of whatever decision we made to act like we don't have feelings.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's also trained as well,
Yeah,
as
true,
we
true.
come up in childhood. It's
Hmm.
things that we kind of train to kind of do and to react based upon our environment, you know. So yeah, the habits that we create within love and relationships, our emotions also dictate the habits that we create for ourselves. And we have to let some of those things go. They're not healthy, or learn how to change and to dilate. I think when you speak about the horses, I know equestrian. I believe that's how you say it,
Equine,
right? But
equine
equus,
therapy, but it's equestrian, yeah, but it's equine therapy with
okay.
horses.
Um, so whenever I know someone that kind of work with horses, but yeah, I didn't know that I know they're kind of like very emotionally in tune, right?
Hmm.
With the people that they work with.
Hmm.
A lot of times they can be what they call like
Hmm.
companions to people that have emotional problems and those things. So
Yeah, they help
yeah,
regulate. They help you regulate because they need you to be regulated for them to be
hmm,
able to work with you.
right, exactly.
That's
You
probably
have to
why
be
it's part of
regulated,
therapy, because emotional
like a
regulation,
tuning fork.
yeah, that's a huge part of mental health, right? When you can regulate your emotions, all of a sudden you're just not as crazy as you thought you were.
Yeah, they can feel you. They know what's going on. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah. Actually, I was raised around horses, but I never got to like physically work with them. So I think that's pretty something I want to get into as I get older, get a little bit more time. But yeah, the Nine of Hearts. Also, what's interesting with the Nine of Hearts, it actually goes into animals. Actually working with the animals into pets. That's actually one of the um, things with the Nine of Hearts. Actually, we haven't even really related to that. That's also another way, as far as astrology, we can probably look at it a little bit, between the Seven of Diamonds, Venus, then Saturn, Nine of Hearts, sitting Saturn, Saturn. For anyone want to go into astrological context, I know like Virgo and those aspects, and Jupiter depends on the size animal and those things, but you know, astrology has so many different contexts and to it. Trying to come back in.
Yeah, my
There you go.
computer died.
Okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
so the Nine of Hearts, somebody said I talked to animals. so
No, keep going.
so but yeah, so the Nine of Hearts goes into those aspects we were talking about, being the humanitarian, being agape love. So that agape love goes into animals, and that's why I was talking about the snake. I didn't say it, but into my distinction and curiosity and the relationship between the Nine of Hearts and animals was the vibration and temperament, trying to understand people and being highly sensitive, right? Um, that's why they say, animals and pets are man's best friend, right? So we create these relationships without any judgment, Uh,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm going so deep on this stuff, but I can't help it.
mhm.
The Mary Magdalene stuff that I've, been part of and connected to help me grow from the inside out. It calls for a black snake and a gold snake, or like yellow snake, and those two energies come up from our chakras and they weave, right? And they meet our mind to help expand the pineal gland, right?
Mhm.
So those energies of the snake, it's interesting how we have fear around it when that ability to move up ourselves is actually what creates a connection to our higher self.
Yeah, it goes into the Kundalini, DNA,
Mm-hmm.
the essence of life and death, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and the state. But yeah, it's a something that we can't escape. It's how we create life. It's the physical essence and patterns of life where everything's attached to modern medicine and all those things. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I actually was thinking about the Seven of Diamonds, is that being a physician and the doctor and the health aspects of it as well, because it sits Saturn. So if there can be ailments or illnesses, I was thinking about the Alicia aspects of the Vedic. So health illnesses and those things can come from, is it the Maka? I have to look at it again. I was looking at both of those, so I was getting those things too crossed. I'm looking at a lot of information lately, but the pattern of those two Vedic placements is health ailments, or it being ill. That can also be poison. And having the ability to overcome illnesses, right? The Jack of Spades actually goes into the physician or the quack doctor or the
Mm-hmm.
neophyte, or the untrained, or someone that's just beginning or being introduced, or the initiate, right? Are all kind of terms relating to
Mm-hmm.
the Jack of Spades. So the type of doctor that comes into it. So the physician or health aspects also come into the Seven of Diamonds. Um, so yeah, so
A little bit of
that's
it.
why I say it's a very deep card spiritually. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. My first husband is a seven of diamonds, and definitely a very delicate human being, very sensitive, very deep. So,
Mhm.
one other thing, when I hear about this clubhouse and all that's happening and how it's changed so much, and I remember our efforts that we put into doing all the cards together, like the tens together, or the hearts, the aces together, that kind of thing. So, I wonder if that wouldn't be wise to implement again, whether it's on YouTube or in Zoom, because there's so much information when you see the reflection of somebody who's also using that energy and the way you can navigate it. Because I can
Mhm.
seven of diamonds getting smarter together.
Mhm. I think
Well,
what
that,
yeah, so I think what I have coming up next, or what I want to do, is do a podcast series that will be recording, but I don't want to do Clubhouse and I can't record it. That's why I haven't been on there, because the recording aspects. I feel like it's a little waste, and if the hallways open up, it's my issue with Clubhouse.
Hmm.
Or is this a waste of time for me? I'm sorry, Clubhouse and all the Clubhouse lovers, but
But it's
it
still kind
just
of cool if you just want to have a conversation that just disappears too, right? If you want to have like a heart to heart, and like sometimes, you don't want everything recorded. You just want to talk because who knows how free. I mean, I think we've grown to be pretty authentic on our, page here. But in some places, maybe somebody doesn't want to hear something else. I mean, I know there's times where I've thought, oh, did I say something about that person that I wouldn't want to say if they were sitting there? Like sometimes, you're talking and things go like they go. But I hear you about
Mhm.
it's our information and it's nice to have it collected. I liked when I used to look back and see how we had all of the cards and the suits and the things because it was good conversations. It really helped us all see it bigger.
No, you're right though. I'm trying to tap into it's the Seven of Diamonds week. So what I would do is tap
Mhm.
into my Nine of Hearts and give maybe something once a month to Clubhouse,
Yeah,
record it and just a
regular.
conversation.
Yeah,
So
pop
I
some notes.
will, yeah. So I will set my boundaries there. We're setting clear boundaries.
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear where Nick's gotten to, and everybody. Like, it would be great to go into and hear some of the places. Like, we've had lots of Tuesdays together. We had lots of times together. It's nice to see how people grow in what they know.
Yeah, so I will try to do that as a commitment. I will, as a Nine of Hearts says of my giving to the people for the people. Power to the people. So that's Nine of Hearts slogan too. So power to the people. I got you. And we'll maybe a Q and A type of thing or a series, or it depends on we'll think about it.
Yeah,
So
might be.
yeah, I'll think about those aspects. But
Yeah, I think there is a card table house.
hmm, okay, we'll
We can
see.
say we
I don't know how. I don't know if you can just open up a random room anymore.
to look around.
Um,
But yeah, I just know that we there was houses. That's all. I remember playing with the house part and then getting overwhelmed. But yeah,
mhm.
and for sure, Rashad, I hope that in the next couple of Fridays, the next one, the one after, you can join us on the family card table to talk about back to school series and working with students and their cards.
Yeah, sure, sure. I was so with the students in the cars. I haven't been talking to them much about it. It was kind of crazy. It's been like a weird type of thing where my first day back at a particular school, the teacher comes in, he walks in and was like, I want to do a game with you all. And I was like, okay. And he pulls out the playing cards
Stop.
for a math game. Yeah, it was so weird. It was so weird. I was like, why is he playing the cards in
That's
my
awesome.
class right now? So it was kind of a thing. And then that was a doing the get to know me type of thing. And when they was trying to do it, they wasn't being open and honest, and I just wanted to like put my 2 cents in, but I was like, oh, let me just
Right?
just let me not.
Everybody. Well, let's look
Yeah,
at your cards and get to know each
uh,
other. Birthday,
yeah.
right? Really have
Right,
like
right,
each other, right?
right. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a lot of missed times and a lot of things I, I will try to keep it kind of clear, but I am building something to kind of make it more open. I think the clothing line and those things open up a lot of space for me to be, you know, trying to cross paths. But, one-on-one conversations when I was more of a behavior interventionist, we doing like one-on-one work with the kids. It was more I was able to get to know the cars and speak to them. But as I'm like over multiple kids in that classroom, it's kind of different. So being over multiple people, so I'm not be able to kind of focus in on the cars on a one-to-one basis much as I want to. So it's one of those things where it's kind of changing, but it's still interesting as if I'm at one location, I may be able to create those type of those things. But yeah, looking at the cards, even within your work, so outside of just my work, with your work, your job, your relationships, the people you work with, your coworkers, that
Mm-hmm.
is probably really interesting as well. I really want to open up and really get to know people as the year started, and see what people cards are. Uh, I've been at one location for a little time now, so I've kind of got to know a few people. So I kind of seeing personalities, traits, and those things. So I always
Yes.
find that interesting going to work.
Have you been guessing their cards?
um, Almost, kind of, sort of, yeah. Like one or two people, one or two people.
Mm-hmm.
I had an idea. I didn't think about it too much, but I was like, they seem like a club, but I didn't get it down to a number or anything yet. But
Well,
if I could, if I was a guest, maybe now, maybe a Jack or a King. I'll come back and report to you what it is.
at my job, I kind of cheated because they have a birthday calendar in their sources thing. So I was like, oh, this is so great. So like I got to know everyone's card, and then I just watched, and I was like, oh, I know how to respond to that. I know how to respond to
Mm.
that. Like it was almost like I had an awareness of the kind of person they were. I didn't lose my authenticity, but I was aware that the way to say certain things to certain people and the timing of certain things were going to be like that, and I was like, boy, it's crazy how this is working out. And there's a couple of spots where I knew there'd be bumps, but I've been trying to like navigate myself, and not saying that I'm trying to have an upper hand. I'm trying to keep everything on the table, but I'm definitely finding knowing their card supports me knowing who I'm talking to.
Oh yeah, for sure. The conversation it makes it that much easier to relate and to understand
Totally.
people.
Totally.
Yeah.
I feel like over the top everyone's head, like this should just be their card, or like
Right.
a little
Yeah.
side. It's just like
A
I,
card video game.
I'm being
Yeah.
this avatar character is being regulated by this idea, and I'm trying to navigate it from a higher place.
No, that's definitely. I want to get into VR in the cards. That's why that's my ultimate goal is to get a VR headset and teach the cards like through
Oh, shut
VR.
up! That's so
Like, yeah, that'd be dope. That's
hilarious,
my next. That'd be
dude.
my
That's so
next
funny.
thing.
They could be like characters with their card numbers on top. No, that's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, and do the whole 3D. So once I get my whole total, little setup going on as far as like laptop and VR headset. I want to
Hmm.
experiment into the VR world and do and like have like classes. I think that's the future, not just for me, to be honest. I think that's the future
I think it's a great
um, for
idea.
just teaching in general because it makes it interactive. You can have an all interactive world with AI. Think about it. If you implement AI into the VR world, which I think that's going to be Meta's next thing, what's going to put them
And
over the top.
And then if you have the cards, kind of like how when the boys would play video games and you could pick different traits. I mean, you could pick your outfits, you could pick your hair color. I mean, you
Mhm,
could like forget about it, right? So I mean, there
mhm,
could also be ways to play your card. Do you know what I mean?
mhm,
Like, almost like a D&D game. I always think about that Dungeons and Dragons game with the cards and that same kind of way you're thinking like how would we play out certain scenarios, understanding and knowing certain things about ourselves or just what we choose from our innate gifts based on, what energy we have on us
mhm,
through us. Because that's kind of what D&D is. It's like you create a character, you roll dice to get random pieces put together, and then like when situations happen in the game, you're all responding based on your character and what you have a
mhm.
cheat that you can use to
In your
nav-
card.
yeah, to navigate the
Mhm,
whatever experience the whole set of people and like, you went in there and this guy stole all this and this is over here and you have to do this and now the three of you have to work together to save this person, that kind of stuff, or whatever
mhm.
stories. But so yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that is definitely there's a space for the cards definitely to,
Hmm.
and I think there's already space. If you, I think what is her name? Broad Cruz wife, I think Marie, I believe she looks at astrology and like video games, and the aspects, even just historically and characters and context. Astrology has been used in the base for a lot of things and creation of things, characters, and people, right? Without us even knowing. So
Hmm.
she do those correlations. So there's a correlation between video games and those things that's already here, but that's not really spoken of. But the next astrology game, metaphysical game, and that's on the rise. I think DGTV I'm saying DGTV. That's like a weird. But Derek Grace, I think what he created a video game. First a board game and then a video game. But I think he's opening up the lanes and
Like that.
other creators.
Remember Lewis? Wasn't Lewis making a game like that?
Oh yeah, Lewis. Right. Yeah, correct. Lewis.
Lewis Gomez, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, Lewis was creating like we're giving away gems here. Let's stop. People say
All
I
right.
talk too
Well,
much.
everybody's growing great things. Okay, I'm really glad I got to talk to you. Sorry I was so late.
Oh, that's the ace of spades. You gotta keep something in the back pocket. That's the third diamond thing. Preservation and stuff. But yeah, always there go Lewis there. It's still working on it. Yeah, so that's the future, I think, is having those aspects and someone creating something that is, I think that's gonna be dope. But very great, dope conversation. Next week is a Eight of Diamonds week. Eight of Diamonds is a prominent and famous card as far as what we may see out in the public that always working, putting themselves in the within eyesight or hands reach of people, making themselves available, always being helpful. I think they are teachers, can be very strict. So just the overall Eight of Diamonds week. So ourselves, we can take on qualities where we may show up, want to be there for people, being helpful, also being critical of ourselves can also make take on imposter syndrome sometimes as well, whenever we put ourselves out there trying to create or maybe attain more money. Also, that money attained is always and helpful, and also someone may be in need, so you may have to give it away in some type of way. So they are, like I said, are caretakers a lot of times to those people that's younger to them. So the Eight of Diamonds in itself, so making money and using it or making it for good use, right? So they always have to be well aware of their deeds and making sure that they're aware of their true value and their mission. It's always to help and be charitable in some type of way, teach, educate, and also, live out their dreams, their passion, to overcome any obstacle that they may face. So it's a week of overcoming, creating value around yourself, creating value for others as well. So Eight of Diamonds week. So if you all have a task or something you want to accomplish, this is the week to kind of take it on. So anything that you want to speak to?
No, I'm just grateful. I have some insights that came through, and I'm going to do exactly that, create this week and use the energy, and I'm having fun. So thanks for keeping this up and for always teaching me something every time I come in.
Yeah, always and forever. I'm always learning. So it's my part of it now, right? Nine of clubs, nine of spades. Gotta give it six of diamonds. Use it, or you lose it. So we appreciate you all showing up, interacting. So your feedback is also confirmation for yourself and other people who may
Mm-hmm.
have your card. They may have go through those like challenges. They may go through those hiccups. They may go through those same patterns that you may have. So this is a space that we create for everyone to kind of learn and to bounce ideas off of each other, things that we're thinking of, or relationship with the cards, the patterns that we see, right? So we bring you our lives. So what do you bring to the table?
Life is art. We're sharing lives to create the art of understanding.
Hmm. All right, so we'll see you next week, Eight of Diamonds week. If you have any questions, just hit me up. Thank you all for showing up.
Peace.